Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Goodness me, ridiculous scenes down in Durban. Ireland have beaten South Africa 25 points to 24. Incredible test match, and one word, one name, one player to speak about, and that is Kieran Frawley. The scenes, really incredible, absolutely incredible. To first of all come on off the bench and nail a drop goal out of nowhere, and then with the time up and being 2 points down, to then slot back in the pocket and nail a drop goal in that kind of circumstance. You know, as a Bok fan, it's heartbreaking. As a rugby fan, you kind of just have to admire it, to be honest. You kind of just have to take a step back and just be like, that's impressive. I mean, those are one of those moments you dream of as a player. And fair play, I think, to be honest. I think the Boks were the better side for a lot of that game, and I think paid the price in the end. All the points the Boks scored coming off the boot of Andre Pollard. So, not the best game from a Springbok point of view, but what a game of rugby. I think let's just appreciate that. And I think a shout out to Ireland and the supporters, shout out to the Boks, to the coaching staff. A proper two test match series. And how frustrating isn't it that there isn't a third? You know, I mean, how brilliantly would this have been set up to have had a third test match next week in Bloemfontein, in Cape Town, in Mbombela, for example. We've been robbed, absolutely robbed, of what would have been one of the all-time great test matches if we had a decider next week. It's not to be, and yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate, isn't it? Before we look at the game, sort of break it down, please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. It was a game of two halves, which sounds like very, very complicated analysis, but genuinely was, to be perfectly honest. In the first half, I thought that that Ireland were all over the Boks. Scored a phenomenal try, that Conor Murray try. We'll go through the point scoring and the order, for example. But I thought the Boks didn't really pitch up in that first half. A couple of early injuries, which didn't really help. And, you know, losing Villaroo early on. You know, Frank Amos going off, I think, as well. Very much disrupted the flow. We didn't really get the bomb squad impact because we had to make those early changes. So, yeah, it's a frustrating game, but let's go through it, shall we? Because it is a heartbreaking loss from South Africa. In fact, I've got a good authority that Rassie Erasmus has just come past the media and is in tears, actually, is crying. That's how much it meant to him to try and get that victory, because there was so much out there to prove. And to be honest, I think all these two sides have proven is that they are the two best sides in the world. We had just watched the best players in the world rugby right now go toe-to-toe. Let's look at it, shall we? So, early penalty for Jack Crowley made it 3-0 in the 5th minute, and then Conor Murray, I tell you, the Irish attack just splitting open that Bok defence. Very typical Irish try. Jack Crowley, 2 players on his left shoulder, 2 players right shoulder. Frans Mahube has to commit to Ronan Kelleher. That opens a small gap. Bang! Jamie Osborne straight through. Outside pass to Robbie Henshaw. Inside pass to Conor Murray. He goes over. 10-0. It takes 18 minutes for the Boks to get into Ireland territory and find some points. They get a penalty of themselves. Pollard then getting another penalty, 10 points to 6 after 34 minutes. But then 2 late penalties for Ireland, 37 minutes and 41 minutes meant that they went into the break 16-6 up, and a big mountain to climb. But climb the Boks did. 4 penalties in a row, 44 minutes, 47 minutes, 52 minutes, 56 minutes, 17 minutes to go from being 16-6 down to 18-6 up. It included a yellow card for Caelan Doris, by the way, for a crocodile roll on Malcolm Marx. Very, very poor that from him. Jack Crowley, though, however, got the lead back just 2 minutes later with a penalty of his own. Andre Pollard getting the lead back another 2 minutes later. And then another 4 minutes later, extending the lead. The Boks scrum came in clutch a couple of times. Started to win penalties. The second half definitely grew into the game that the Boks had much more possession, a bit more dominance, for example. I think dominated the collisions a bit better. And then Kieran Frawley, I tell you what, I mean, it was held up over the line, big celebrations, goal line dropout, and he decides from pretty much just inside, you know, the halfway line, I'm going to have a crack here. Splits the poles with a drop goal in the 69th minute. And then, you know, a late scrum, and they managed to, and it was actually Currie himself who put the kick in behind off the back of the scrum to win that line just outside of 22. 2 phases, back in the pocket, has the nerve, slots in the 79th minute, basically in the 81st minute, to be honest. Yeah, it was just absolutely epic. To be perfectly honest. So yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats, for example, they tell you a very interesting story. Territory 51 to 49, possession 47 to 53, very, very close. Set plays, box scrum much better, 100%. The Irish scrum 56%. So that box scrum, which wasn't really a weapon a week ago, was much more of a weapon this week. Lineouts weren't fantastic though from the box. Lost a couple of very important ones. Just 82% line success rate. Ireland's with 89%. On the attack though, pretty similar to be honest. Ireland making more passes and more carries. Post-contact meters, the box actually had a bit more, 158 to Ireland's 144. Line breaks 3 to 8. If you look at the turnovers, for example, Ireland winning 7 on the ground, South Africa just 2. So the breakdown battle was won by Ireland, and we kind of knew that was going to be the case, isn't it? Frank Mostert spoke about the fact that the box had to clean that up, and they didn't really manage to do that. Penalties conceded, Ireland 11 and a yellow card, box 8. So discipline-wise, pretty even to be honest. Tackles made, box weren't great in the first half, got a lot better in the second half, missing 15 tackles out of 100 and making 122. Ireland made 117, missing 21. 30 kicks from the box, 36 from Ireland, so Ireland did kick a bit more. Let's look at some of the individual players. Jamie Osborne, I thought, had a really good game tonight. Made one mistake when you sort of misjudged that Grant Williams kick ahead, but carried the most. Him and Kwaka Smith, 13 and 11 carries apiece. Then Kellen Doris. If we want to look at line breaks, for example, Calvin Nash with 3, James Lowe with 2. Didn't really get to see Currie Lawrence and Cheslin Colby breaking the line too many times. In terms of meters carried, Sacha Montgomery topped that with 62. I thought he had a struggle in the first half, had a really good second half though. And if we look at line breaks, as mentioned, there Calvin Nash, sorry, there, or defenders beaten, Sacha Montgomery with 6, James Lowe with 4, Cheslin Colby with 3. If you look at defense, for example, tackles made, Josh van der Fleer, 17 tackles, PSTF the Toy, 16, James Ryan, 12, Robbie Henshaw, 11. So, yeah, some great individual performances. I mean, maybe I should be a bit more dejected, but I'm just trying to come down from what was a great game of rugby to watch. I think, yeah, as I said, I think the main thing is that that's the 2 best teams in the world. That's the standard. And I think they both showed over 2 weeks what the standard is and should be. So credit to both sides. What do you think? Get in the comments. Let me know. Did the box throw it away? Did Ireland almost throw it away, for example? Who was the better side on the day? Let me know in the comments. I want to know what you think. Enough ranting. Let's go into the player rating, shall we? So I'm going to drop the link in the description. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to go and upload. You're going to go vote on the website. Give every single player a rating between 1 and 10. And then I'm going to go through it. And basically what happens is that the software aggregates the votes and spits out an average vote. So like a 7.6, for example, and the likes. So that is how it works. It's very, very easy. I don't think I need to explain much more than that, to be perfectly honest. So I'm just going to make sure, just get it working. Just going to drop it into the chat in a few seconds, just refreshing to make sure I've got the right link to share with you, and then we will get underway. I've got to find the right thing. Right, here we go. Rate the players. Right, pin the message. Right, there it is. That is the pin message, people. Go and rate the players. Right, I need some nominations for Man of the Match. Oxen Chair, as South African Man of the Match, by the way. So I need a Man of the Match. Who are your Springbok Man of the Match nominations? Yeah, Oxen Chair got the official one. So who else impressed? I'm going to put Oxen Chair into that vote. So I'm going to go and start the comments over there, start a poll. Who was your Springbok Man of the Match? I've got Oxen Chair there. People, I need other nominations. Evan saying Sasha. WLK said Evan hiding behind Arche when things got heated. Didn't see that. I'd be very surprised if that were to be the case. What are we saying, people? I need man of the match nominations. We can get into the performance in a bit, but I need man of the match nominations so I can throw that poll out, and then we can cook. I've got 2 nominations there for Sasha Famagomazulu. So I'll throw him there. And Lionel Duplessis saying, how we ever replace BSJ for Toy? It's a very good question. People, I need man of the match nominations. Give me some options here. Give me some options here, people. We see a Pollard there. And so I'll add in Andre Pollard, who did not miss a beat, to be fair, off the boot. Connaught, now, Kieran Forley would probably be the man of the match if we're throwing an island, but this is just a Springboks rating show, to be fair. Moving into the Rugby Championship, we are going to be doing both teams. We just had a couple of issues with the system. So there we go. Everybody's agreeing on those 3. So I'm going to throw those out into the comments. You guys can get voting on those and let me know who you think. And we'll revisit that at the end of the game. End of the show. So I'm just going to quickly bring on the player rating show over the moment and get that onto screen, and then we can start voting, shall we? Basically, what's going to happen is we're going to look at the performances from each of the players. We'll go through the stats, for example. I'm going to give them a rating between 1 and 8. Always very interesting to see how much we differ when it comes to the ratings. Some people can be quite generous. Some people can be very harsh, and always interesting to see how close or near apart we are. So that is what the player ratings look like. So as you can see, I'm there currently on Oxen Chair. So let's have a look, shall we? Have a look, see at what we think. Oxen Chair for me was absolutely phenomenal, by the way, phenomenal. And I thought one of his best games I've seen from him. So really, really impressive work. I think that he's really grown into the game, and I think tonight he was absolutely incredible. So I'm just going to bring up the stats over here so we can go through the stats and have a look at exactly what transpired. Right, let's have a look at Oxen Chair's game, shall we? First of all, 9 tackles, by the way, 1 missed tackle, 3 carries, 1 pass. Some massive tackles, though. He was throwing himself around the park. Some nice bits of handling as well. I thought that he scrummed really well, winning a penalty. He was giving Tyke Furlong such a hard time, which was good to see. So yeah, I'm really, really impressed with what I'm seeing from Oxen Chair. I'm probably seeing it about an 8 or a 9 from him because I think that he was absolutely tremendous today. So I'm going to go with an 8. I'm going to start with Oxen Chair on an 8. An average score of 8. I'm just going to refresh that. I hope you guys are voting on the system because that's the issue we often have, people not voting. And then the votes don't really show what everybody has to say. So we'll start with an Oxen Chair with an 8. Bongi Manambi, the lineouts weren't great. From Bongi Manambi, so a bit frustrating in that sort of perspective. So yeah, and in terms of the world rankings, by the way, Box will still be number 1. Somebody asking that in the chat, so we will still be number 1. They had to beat us by more than 15. So not going to change there, at least, which is good to see. So what are we saying about Bongi? Somebody's saying a 6. I think that's pretty bang on, to be fair. I don't think Bongi was terrible. Pretty of an average game from him, and I generally go with an average 6. It's usually kind of where I go. With regards to if somebody's had an average game. I don't think he was terrible. I don't think it was bad. I'll read this game out in just a second. Here we go. Just bring out the stats over here. Right, Bongi Manambi, 1 carry, 6 tackles from him. No missed, 1 missed tackles. Yeah, I think it was fine. I think it was average. I think average is probably about right. So we'll go and give him a solid 6, I reckon. 6.3, so I've gone slightly lower. Good to see, by the way, that means people are voting and it is coming in. Very interested to see what we're going to get from the post-match press conference. Right, Francois Herbert. And I didn't think it was his game, to be perfectly honest. I think that he struggled a little bit. And, yeah, I think scrum-wise didn't get as much ascendancy. He got around the park, missed, obviously, wouldn't say he missed a tackle, but committed to the wrong tackle, which opened up the try. Very, very difficult for him to try and make that decision because he had 2 players to try and commit to. He did commit to the wrong player. Kemi saying, "How does Steve? Wait for me. I'm voting." Well, I'm on Francois Herbert, so as long as you're ahead of me there, then we're okay. So I'm going to give Francois Herbert a 6. I think he was 6.4. Apparently, I'm being a bit harsh. I don't know. I just think it wasn't Francois Herbert's best game, to be perfectly honest. So maybe comes across a bit harsh. Right, Eamon Etzebeth had some good moments, but also a little bit quiet, especially by his standards. 4 carries, 8 tackles. Didn't miss a tackle, so solid from Evan. Maybe not making those sort of characteristic. I'll tell you where he didn't manage to affect the game, as we've often seen him in the last few years, is under the high ball. You know, getting there, you know, putting his hand up, knocking it back, for example, really getting involved. I think that's where we kind of missed a bit of Etzebeth tonight. So I don't think it was his best, but I think it was pretty solid. So I'm leaning towards a 7 for Evan. Let's see what everybody else reckons. I've gone 7. People have gone 6.6, so maybe I've gone a little bit higher. Gary Smith reckons a 6.5. So, yeah, I suppose it does kind of even it out. Franco Moss said, well, difficult to say, really. He only played 17 minutes and made 6 tackles in the time. So we'll just give him a standard 6 for his efforts. Hopefully that knee injury isn't too serious. I do feel like we missed him, to be perfectly honest. I think we missed that work rate around the park. But yeah, hopefully it's not too serious and we see him back in the Rugby Championship very soon. So 6.2 there. Right, Siaklisi. Right, it wasn't a storming game that we saw from him last week. Still heavily involved on attack. 7 tackles made, 1 missed. Oh, it was a decent game from Sia, actually. I thought he did carry well. He is carrying now in that sort of midfield, so he's been given a bit more of a chance to carry. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it was his best game, but I don't think it was bad from Siaklisi. So I'm probably leaning towards a 7. I think it was probably above average. 6.6. I think that's kind of probably where we're going to sit with a lot of players. So yeah, big interesting to see how that kind of goes. So 6 for Khaleesi. BITDEFENDER 12. I thought he was really good, actually. I think that he could potentially be in the man of the match conversations. I thought he got around the park really well. 6 carries, 14 tackles, just the 2 missed tackles. He's going to be such a hard player to replace. Another strong game from him. I'm going to give him an 8. His work rate is so good. 7.1. Maybe I've gone a bit high. It's funny because I think if we had 1, suddenly we'd see these. I think we'd see a lot of these ratings go up by probably 1 point. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? In that because you lose, all of a sudden the player ratings sort of drop a bit. So it's a bit frustrating, but I suppose that's kind of the way that the cookie does crumble. So yeah. Anyway, so PSF saw the 7.1. Quacker Smith. People talking a lot in the chat about how Quacker Smith was poor, wasn't great. Didn't manage to affect the breakdown as much. I thought that Ireland piled the numbers into the breakdown really, really well. I think that's something that they obviously looked at and they protected the ball really well. I mean, he didn't make any mistakes, to be honest. If you look at his game, 9 carries, making 53 meters. I mean, he had that charge down, for example, 2 defenders beaten, a clean break. He made 4 tackles. He didn't miss a single tackle. So I find it weird that we're talking about Quacker Smith criticism. I didn't think he was anywhere near being one of the worst players on the park. So I'm probably going to give him a 7. I think he was okay. 5.9. I mean, that's the lowest. I mean, to sit there and say that he was the worst player on the field, I think is pretty ordinary analysis, if I'm being brutally honest. You know, again, didn't make a mistake under the high ball. Ironically, made fewer mistakes than last week. I think he was living off the scraps again tonight, though. I think that we as a pack didn't really dominate. Didn't get that go forward ball that we had last week. So I think he kind of was living off the scraps a bit. Didn't manage to get his hands on too. I mean, to be fair, we didn't see, many turnovers at all from a South African perspective. I think it was just 2. So I felt sorry for him, because at the end of the day, you can only affect the turnovers if you're getting those dominant tackles, for example, if you're getting the clean tackles. So, he's always lurking, trying to get over that ball. But when we're not getting that dominance, then and they are piling so many players into the breakdown, he kind of does nullify him. So I thought they did very well to take him out of the game. Not necessarily his fault. The stuff he did have to do. He also, by the way, won a line-out. It's not actually on yet, but he did actually win a line-out, which is a bit of a weird one. So I think that's a bit harsh. Faf de Klerk, I thought he was actually better today. I thought a lot of people started complaining about him, but made all his tackles. And his support play was really good. I thought, he generally got the ball out quite quickly. I think we were probably a little bit better with presenting a bit cleaner ball. Probably not as good as we probably should be. I'll probably give 5 for 7. 5.5, you see, I think that's weird. And the weird thing is, it's going to come down to we kicked the ball too much. So it's going to be a weird thing when I then tell you that we kicked it less than Ireland. And this is why it's such ordinary analysis. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. It's very ordinary analysis to sit there and say we kicked too much and we lost because we kicked. It's such an easy thing to do. As soon as we lose, we kick the ball too much. Ireland won and kicked more today. New Zealand kicked more than England today and won. Australia kicked more than Wales today and won. So it's ordinary analysis to say kicking the ball is why we lost. It's very, very ordinary analysis. Did he kick badly? I don't think so, actually. I think most of his kicks were pretty contestable. So I actually think that he was better than last week, and he's ended up with a worse rating because we lost. And ironically, when he came off, I actually think we might have been in the lead. So that's 5.5 apparently for him. I think it's a bit harsh. Andre Pollard responds to his critics with a 100% off the tee, 24 points. All the points for South came off the boot. Half Andre Pollard made 4 tackles, missed just the 1, 8 penalties off his boot, 3 defenders beaten, 15 meters. A couple of bad decisions, I think, or maybe it's not bad decisions, but a couple of kicks executed badly. But I thought generally we saw more of the general today, and I think we'll start seeing that trend getting a bit better and better as we go. And if we go there to I'll probably give him a 7, I think is probably where I'm at. A 7.1. So we pretty much stay there. I think that's probably about right, to be fair. Got a lot better. So good to see him and playing a better rugby. Currie Lawrence didn't have too much to do. Made a lot of tackles. Looked for work. Characteristically, I'm probably sitting with about a 7 for Currie. Didn't get as much opportunity with ball in hand as he probably would have liked. So I'll probably give him a 7 as well. 6, I think, is a bit harsh. Again, you kind of think, what did he really do wrong? So yeah, I said I do think I'd mentioned before that we're looking at we're looking at this retrospectively now. We're looking at, because we lost. I mean, somebody's saying FAF 3. I think that's ridiculous. And again, saying that, I mean, when we kicked away in the 22, we never kicked the ball away in the 22. We do not kick the ball away when we're in the 22. So it's a bit of exaggeration, because stylistically we don't. Just by the way. You can almost go and look back, and we've never ever kicked it away, for at least from 9, for example, maybe a tip over the top. So you can go look at, for example, that kick you tried to put in behind, which you didn't execute perfectly, if that's the reference. But again, I mean, that's a kicking behind. That's not a box kick, for example. So yeah. Anyway, I think the answer is harsh. Damien Day-Lindy and Jesse Creel. I tell you what, I really enjoyed the centre battles today. I thought Day-Lindy looked for work. 6 tackles, didn't miss 1, 50 meters gain, 2 defenders beaten. I'm sitting there with about a 7 for Damien Day-Lindy. I think him and Jesse Creel were solid once again. 6.8 seems a bit harsh, but it's not too far away from a 7. So I think we're about right there. Jesse Creel, much the same. I think had another good game, to be fair to him. 7 tackles, didn't miss a single one. 24 meters gain, 1 defender beaten. Another solid game from Jesse. Those two looking really comfortable next to each other. 6.7. Yeah, I mean, means I've gone a bit further higher, but I don't mind that. I think that's fair. Cheston Colby had some good moments, had some bad moments. A couple of knock-ons from him. Tackling wasn't the best today. 4 tackles, 2 missed, 2 turnovers conceded. Probably sitting with a 6 for Colby. Wasn't his best game. 6.8. I'm a bit surprised by that, for example. Villaroo didn't play long enough, so we'll just give him a standard 6. Let's go to the bench, shall we? And Malcolm Marks played about 34 minutes. He made 4 tackles, 1 turnover 1, 3 carries, making 70 meters. Looked a bit more like the Malcolm Marks of the old. Not quite the Malcolm Marks we're used to, but did look a bit better. So I'll give him a solid 7, 6.9. We're pretty much bang on the money there. If we look at Gerard Stennekamp, I mean, simplified learning, imagine you're going to give Villaroo a 4 for playing 2 minutes. So for simplified learning, we might have to simplify it a lot more to try and get through to you, apparently. So Gerard Stennekamp came off as 1 scrum penalty and conceded a penalty, made 1 tackle, didn't have much to do. Give him an average 6 to be fair. 6.6, I think that's fair enough. Vincent Koch, much the same as Gerard Stennekamp, scrummed pretty solidly, didn't have much to do in and around the park. 6 tackles, didn't miss one, probably another solid 6. 6.2, I think that's okay. Salam Murat played next to nothing, so probably just give him a normal, kind of a standard 6. This will be probably lower than a 6 because I think people are a bit sour. You see like that. I mean, you're going to Salam Murat played 2 minutes. 2 minutes. But there are people out there who they just don't like him, so they're just going to go and give him a bad rating. It's a weird mentality to have. I don't understand it. I never will. But anyway, regardless of how you feel about the poor man, he came on and played 2 minutes of rugby. What's he supposed to do? Arceus Neyman, 10 tackles, not a single one missed, 23 meters gained, 1 defender beaten, 9 carries. Somebody said that they thought he was overrated. I thought he actually played really well today. Had that offload, for example, which put Malcolm Marks into space. A different day, gets that offload right to Quacker Smith. Quacker Smith scores a try. He ends up getting an 8 out of 10. We win the game. We're all very happy. Margins. But I thought Arceus Neyman was decent, so I'm going to give him a 7. 6.8. We're pretty much on the money. Markham Aston came on, carried pretty well. Played 30 minutes, 3 tackles, 1 missed tackle. Probably give him an average 6. Wasn't made. Yeah, there we go. On the money there. Grant Williams, I was impressed with, actually. I thought that he injected some nice pace in the game. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from him. Didn't have too much to do in and around the park, but decent. I'm going to give him a 7 there. 7.5. People have gone a bit higher there. Sacha Famagomazulu. Well, I'll tell you what, he had a very interesting game because it went from being really good to really poor. Because he struggled in the first half under the 5 ball, but he also had those dazzling runs, for example, and then he kicked the ball out into touch, and then he had a really good kicking behind. So he really had a bit of an up and down game. I think in general, I'll probably give him a 7. I think there were a couple of mistakes he made, which did put us under pressure. So, we're probably going to be a bit generous with him. But I think what was exciting is I think when you look at that Sacha Famagomazulu performance, is you saw a really young player show moments of why he's so highly rated. I think he's going to be absolutely sublime. And I think you saw moments in that game which shows you why he's so highly rated and why we've got such a special player. There were moments when he struggled, and he's only going to get better. So, 7.6, I think that's fair enough. 7.5 is probably where I probably would like to have been. Made a couple of mistakes. He'll know about that. I think he's one of those players who he'll be his own harshest critic, which is why I think he's got that elite mentality. And I think he's going to succeed. So there we go. Those are the player ratings, people. Have we got a man of the match voted? Well, 270 people have voted. And Oxenshare has come away with the man of the match. So he won the man of the match in the actual game. He wins the man of the match in the official player rating show. And that is that for today. People, thank you very much. We're going to have a tracker running for France versus Argentina a little bit later. Thank you very much, people, and we will see you guys all next time. Well, next week we'll be live for Portugal. It is going to be a brand new team that plays, by the way. We have a confirmation from Rusty Rasmus in the press conference that it will be a new team. So we'll see that next week. People, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to get up to 70,000 subscribers today, so a big shout out to everyone who did